Hello, my name is Danielle Yellen. I am a double major in both studio art and art history. My paper is on women performance art in the act of silencing.
When one reads an academic journal or research done by an individual, the usual consensus is that it is read in a male voice. Art historians have been predominantly male since the beginning of the subject. Women practicing in the field of not only art history but also as an artist have fought against the male-dominated fields in order to be recognized. Establishment art history circa 1993 was a broken model built on white men and certain ossified ideas about greatness and genius. New artists looking for new ways to speak to new audiences couldn't get their voices heard or work seen. Some may say women are incapable of achieving the same stature as the male, or that they are giving up their womanhood. Whatever the excuse may be, women have been silent since the beginning of art history, believing roles given to them by the male academic. Performance art has opened up a platform for women to challenge the idea of not being heard. Women's silencing has been metaphorically used in several performance pieces to express how the absence of words, coupled with dramatic visual demonstrations, can speak volumes for the female society. Throughout this paper, I will explore the works from Shirin Neshat, Ana Mendieta, and Marina Abramovic, along with the study of the phenomenology of silence to help illustrate the breakthroughs women have begun to make. The female artist and historian have endured plenty of obstacles and have made tremendous progress, which I applaud, for I might not have had the opportunity for this work if not for them. With those accomplishments, women still do not stand equal to the male. Brainstormers research claimed in 2006 that though women earn half of the MFAs granted in the U.S., only a quarter of solo exhibitions in New York galleries feature women. As an academic, you are automatically less than your male opponent. Linda Nochlin argues in her book Women, Art, and Power and Other Essays that there is a hidden he as the subject of all scholarly predicates, and in the field of art history, the white Western male viewpoint unconsciously accepted as the viewpoint of the art historian. Men are the norm and socially accepted educated being. Women have been constantly pushed back to the mind. Nochlin continuously asks the question, why have there been no great women artists? The nature of the issue supplies its own answer. There are no great women artists because women are incapable of greatness. It is thought that women cannot be great due to their biology. Having a womb is a deal breaker to some. It has repeatedly suggested that women may be a mother or an artist, but never both. If choosing not to have children, but yet produce art, she has then given up her womanhood. Yet none of the men were automatically denied, nor did they ever conceive that they had sacrificed their manhood. Although there have been a small handful of women who have made a name for themselves, an even smaller handful of successful women were neither married to an artist nor were born into a family with a father practicing art. Most successful women come from one of these factors, if not both. Mendieta is one of them. She was married to a widely known artist, Carl Andre. It wasn't until after her fatal death that her work became more powerful and prevalent within the feminist community. So why have there been no great women artists? Or better yet, why haven't they been heard? Women have been silenced from the beginning of art history. This silencing did not only occur with the usual Western world of art. An outstanding example of feminine voices beseeking women's most intimate and painful experiences can be found in the works created by a group of Mexican artists. Artists such as Frida Kahlo and Maria Izquierdo were not taken seriously during their time, but Women's Art Journal rather points out that male artists have represented women from their own gendered perspective, creating paradigms that, though far removed from women's own experience of womanhood, have influenced the social expectations of women's behaviors and feelings. When one stops listening and begins to disregard everything you say, it shows a sign of complete disrespect. Women artists are very familiar with this disregard. In a report from October 2014, Gallery Tally looked at over 4,000 artists represented in LA and New York. Of those, 32.3% were women, not even half. Yet instead of giving up, women have taken this and created groundbreaking works from it. Several female performance artists use silence deliberately while performing. Just as the Greeks, within their methodology, thought that silence is best understood as a register of one's harmony with one's place, as embodied through one's component, and a component achieved through a particular form of self-mastery. Women have taken the absence of words within their performances to demonstrate their place under the male. Gayatri Spivak claims that the women's place is within the subaltern segment of society. Subaltern is a noun used to describe an officer below the rank of captain, and if used as an adjective, it merely means to be of lower status. Spivak argues that the figure of women, the relationship between women and silence, can be plotted by women themselves. Race and class differences are subsumed under the charge. Subaltern historiography must confront the impossibility of such gestures, both as object of colonist historiography and the subject of insurgency. The ideology of construction of gender keeps the male dominant. In the context of colonial production, the subaltern has no history and cannot speak. The subaltern as the female is even more deeply in shadow. Performance art is a platform for women artists to deliver truth without words, and only through visual demonstrations. Beginning to bring themselves out of the shadows, female artists have started to create work with the absence of language and leaving out any use of words. They do not own their words in the art world. Female performance artists are challenging the idea that they deserve to be heard, even if there are no words to hear. Philosophers such as Jacques Derrida valued speech over other forms of communication. He claimed logocentrism is the belief in absolute proximity of voice and the meaning of being, of voice and the ideality of meaning. There has been a phenomenon of language and sound provided by philosophers like Derrida. The study of communication and how language brings the thing in itself existent has shaped a bias against the absence of words. Derrida stands firm with the notion that without language you are not present, yet women performance artists have challenged Derrida. Female performance artists are making the shift in the art world. These women are creating art that cannot be sold and taken home. They can only be supported. Female performance artists have created work that the audience must interpret without words. These women are completely silent, taking on the idea that they have no voice, for which they do not give the audience one to listen to, employs art as an expressive mean of influence the conscience of everyone, as Valley Export argues. Shirin Neshat is an Iranian female performance artist. In her piece, Turbulent, she is singing the Iranian national anthem to an empty audience, and words are not coming out of her mouth, no matter how loud she sings. In a split video beside her, an Iran man is singing the same song to a handful of people in the same audience, and he is heard perfectly. The haunting piece turns Derrida's idea of language and presence into a dynamic visual awareness that women still have not been given a voice, and brings forth the question, does this mean they do not exist based on Derrida's connection to language? Should we not pay attention to the women artists because they are not capable of greatness? Neshat does have a voice, but she uses her voice not with that of traditional language, but the silence women own. Neshat's work seems to say that the vision of identity it presents us with is the really it, something that has a direct relationship with the origin. This tone has left Neshat and her art notoriously open to critics, that she creates a stable, binary image of women's identity that invites conservative appropriation and supports her own vested interests. Other female artists have challenged Derrida's idea that communication keeps one present. Artists such as Ana Mendieta and Marina Abramovic have used performance art to express their ideas about their womanly roles in the art world. All of these female artists use silence as power. They draw us in and tell horror stories of what it is like in the art world for women. Mendieta's Silhouette series is out in the land away from civilization, creating beautiful silhouettes of female out of what Earth has given her. In contrast to Mendieta's conceptual silence, Marina Abramovic brings silence to the museum. Various works by Abramovic have dealt with the absence of verbal communication. She uses the white walls of the museum to amplify the struggle for her as a woman to have the right to be there. Maura Riley argues in Art News recent statistics of women within the Venice Biennial. The 2009 edition featured 43% women. In 2013, it dropped to 26%. And in 2014, it was 33%. Women still have an extremely difficult time getting into male-dominated museum walls. These are just a few of the women artists who have taken on their roles and are creating art about their femininity and the struggles that follow it. They are all in surroundings that are quiet, whether it is an empty theater, the silent world around you, or even the silent white walls of the museum like Abramovic. Coupling the silent surroundings with their loss of words, these women provide powerful messages. The ongoing idea that anyone with a womb is incapable of making discoveries and breakthroughs in the realm of art and its history is ridiculous, and the female performance artists have created a stage for such acknowledgement. The future of women will be the history of women. Performance art is not a piece of work you can hang up in a home, but it is discussed among art historians, whom are mostly men. This intended audience is supposed to be questioned and come to understand what women are doing with the words they cannot speak. The absence of words can speak measures by itself. While understanding the works of such artists such as Neshat, Mendieta, and Abramovic, I can develop within my own performances. As an artist, I have taken on the study of the female phenomenology of silence, excavating the truth of what it has been like for both female artists and art historians, with hopes of challenging the Derridian philosophy of language and continuing what women before me have done within the art world, and for the women who follow them.